Hello, my name is Graham Elliott of City and Cambridge Consultancy, and today I'd like to just run through some recent developments in the field of VAT with two tribunal cases and some updating of HMRC guidance. So let's start with the first tribunal case that interests me, and that relates to food. It's always interesting to see which substances that you might buy of a food-related nature in your supermarket are subject to VAT and which are not, and sometimes the result can be surprising. And a recent case, the case of Phoenix Foods relating to bicarbonate of soda, put this into sharp relief. Now, HMRC takes the view that bicarbonate of soda is standard rated because it is not a food substance. They take the view that baking powder, which is mainly made of bicarbonate of soda, is a food substance since it only has one function, namely baking. But bicarbonate of soda can be used in other ways than just food. But what happens when it's packaged purely for food and then held out in the supermarket on the food counters? Phoenix Foods took the view that that meant it should be zero rated. HMRC not only made the point I just made just now, but also said that there was no nutritional value in bicarbonate of soda itself, so it shouldn't be given a zero rate. And Phoenix Foods won the argument with the tribunal because the tribunal said that it was essential to have this ingredient for the texture of certain home-baked foods, irrespective of the lack of any nutritional value. Now, I think that's likely to be appealed by HMRC simply because of the sheer scale of sales of this kind of ingredient and the lost revenues they would suffer if they just left it alone. So we wait to see how the appeal comes out. But it's good news from the point of view of the food company at the moment. Turning to a completely different situation, what about the supplies of a membership package in return for a membership subscription? Now, normally we're quite used to the idea of a club membership or a society membership being a single supply for VAT purposes and thus rated at a single rate, whatever that may be. And normally it would default to being the standard rate. But there is some kind of argument that actually you're selling just a range of supplies, a bit like a shopping basket in a supermarket in a way, but they're benefits rather than items from the shelves. And a company called Harley-Davidson Motorcycles, a very famous company, took this entire argument in regard to a club that they run, not a members club, but simply a commercial operation, whereby those who have bought a Harley-Davidson motorcycle decide to join the club to continue their enthusiasm or interest or hobby with that motorcycle in other ways. And the club allows them to meet at various meeting places called chapters, to take a newsletter, which is in printed material, to book holidays which are specific to motorcycling and in particular the Harley-Davidson crew of motorcycling, and to receive merchandise and other offers. All of that's included within a single subscription. Nonetheless, HMRC said you don't look at all those individual things, all of which could be differently rated for VAT, but just look at it as a whole. But Harley-Davidson held out that each and every item should be afforded its own value within the subscription and taxed accordingly. And the tribunal agreed with Harley-Davidson on that. It said, well, look, all of these benefits are independent from each other entirely. You could just read the newsletter and never turn up to a meeting or go on a holiday, or do the other but not read the newsletter. And so Harley-Davidson won. The question is, will that be appealed by HMRC? Now, this one's interesting because maybe HMRC would take the view that they can distinguish Harley-Davidson as being unusual. But I think they would be unwise to take that view, so I think they'll probably appeal. Now, my view is the decision is right as it stands. But then, again, I think that most cases in the past have gone the other way, and that it's a surprising decision from that point of view, though I agree with the decision. Now, finally and quickly, I want to refer to an update of HMRC's guidance in their manuals after a couple of years of gestation relating to a thorny issue, mainly for charities, as to whether they receive income which they can call a grant, which is outside the scope of VAT, essentially a donation, either from a public body or a foundation, or whether they're selling a service to that other body, usually a public body, in return for fees or consideration. Now, this is a very difficult subject. It's impossible for me to unpack the whole subject in this short video. But nonetheless, it's great to see that HMRC has finally produced some guidance on this after many, many years of producing almost none at all, and after 2 years of considering what to produce and going through various drafts. So I encourage you to have a look at what they say. They go through various indicators, one way or the other, they talk about a different rule for subsidies compared to general grants, and they go through a lot of case detail, rather too much detail, not enough analysis, but nonetheless they have attempted to make some go at giving a policy. So there you are. That is worth your while looking at, and I'll be returning shortly for some more updates on VAT developments. Thank you very much.